How to eliminate risk or hazard in hospitality industry. Why eliminating hazard is so important. Elimination of hazards is the most effective way to protect employees against injuries. 4 types of occupational hazard. We have chemical hazards, biological hazards, psychosocial hazards, and physical hazards. Hazardous chemical can be a solid, liquid or gas. It consists of one ingredient, or a mixture of substances.
That we can also get chemical hazard in food? Chemical hazard is the contamination of food by chemical is a worldwide public health concern and is leading cause of trade problems internationally. The chemical is easily transmitted to the food. The toxin is transferred after their ingestion of toxin-containing algae. To prevent transmitting chemical hazard into food, try to purchase seafood from a reputable supplier is the best preventive measure. In the food safety world, however, chemical hazards are much less visible, making their threat all the more serious. Dangerous chemical hazards have many sources, from the chemicals used to sanitize our workplace, to the very food we are cooking. Make sure employees are aware of the possible chemical hazards and the foods to prepare at your establishment. How can you keep the food you are preparing from being contaminated by harmful chemicals? There are many ways, but 3 basic things to remember are: 1. Properly wash all fruits and vegetables prior to use. 2. Keep all chemicals away from cooking and prepping surfaces when food is present. And 3. Store all chemicals separately from food items. Next is the biological hazard or biohazard. Is a biological substance that poses a threat to humans. Biological hazards. Sources of biological hazards may include bacteria, viruses, insects, plants, birds, animals, and humans. To prevent, wash hands before and after work. Also wash hands immediately before and after wearing protective clothing, uniforms, or gloves. To reduce the possibility of infection, biological hazards can kill. Social hazard or work stressor is any occupational hazard related to the way work is designed, organized and managed, as well as the economic and social contexts of work. Unlike the other 3 categories of occupational hazard, they do not arise from a physical substance or object. Examples of psychosocial hazards are work-related stress, bullying and harassment, lone or remote working, violence in the workplace, both from staff and students, fatigue, and alcohol and drug use. Exposure to time pressure or overload of work was most often selected. The highest percentage was main risk factor, which is 23.3%. Second is the harassment or bullying that have a percentage of 2.6%. And lastly the violence or threat of violence that have a 2.2%. From the labor force survey, show that more than 1 out of 4 workers report exposure to risk factors that can adversely affect mental well-being. Between 2007 and 2013, the percentage increased from 25% to 28%. Here are some ways to prevent psychosocial hazard. 1. Organizing a training for employees on coping in tense situations. 2. offering a training for middle managers on how to cope with the stress of subordinates and to help them. 3. Favoring employees' healthy lifestyle. For example, movement habit. And lastly, creating possibilities for communicating and supporting one another. And lastly, is the physical hazard. Are either foreign materials unintentionally introduced to food products or naturally occurring objects that pose threats to the consumer. Choking occurs when food or small objects gets caught in the throat or block the airway, preventing oxygen from traveling to the lungs and brain. After more than 4 minutes without oxygen, brain damage or death may occur. The following are examples of injuries as a result of physical hazard: cuts to the mouth or throat, damage to teeth and gums, cuts in the hand, infection, burns, damage to the intestines, and choking. Detection and elimination of physical hazards. Metal detectors are used to detect metal and food products. Magnets can be used with metal detectors on food production lines to attract and remove metal from products. According to 2014 published data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 261,930 private industry and government workers lost 1 or more days of work and around 798 workers died as a result of fall injuries in the workplace. There was a general upward trend in fatal fall injuries, which increased 25% overall from 2011 to 2016. Safety, hygiene and sanitation. Personal hygiene. Application of principles for maintaining health and personal cleanliness. Proper attire. 1. Hair restraint. 2. Work clothes. 3. Policies should be designed, implemented and monitored to cover employees' illnesses, proper attire and personal hygiene habits.
So that's all. That's what my video all about. I hope you learned something and I hope you understand. And for those who are aspiring flight attendant there like me, I just want to leave you an inspirational quote. When everything seems to be against you, always remember that an airplane takes off against the wind, not with it, by Henry Ford. Because all our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. So, I hope to see you on board.